The development of a nation depends to a large extent on availability of energy. It is for this reason that Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah adopted the Volta River Hydropower Project to boldly represent the beginning of Ghana's new and growing economy, bringing with it many potential benefits such as fishing, transport, and most importantly, the generation of electric power. Five decades down the line, Ghana has experienced 5 energy crises. First in 1982-83, 1998, 2003, 2006 to 2007, and the worst ever experienced was from 2013 to 2016. These crises were as a result of a fast-growing economy, coupled with high demand for power supply over the years, putting a lot of pressure on the existing power generating systems, hence affecting production capacity.
That also then tells us in the sector or in the industry that we should also sit up and make sure we can meet the demand. So for us as VRA, the demand is growing. It's good opportunity for us to be able to add on the generation to help power the economy, as I said.
In an effort to attract private sector participation in the power sector, the government amended the VRA Act in 2005 to hive off the transmission function from the VRA, leading to the formation of Grid Company Limited, GridCo. The Volta River Authority, the nation's oldest and largest power producer, established in 1961 under the Volta River Development Act 46 of the Republic of Ghana, started with hydro projects. The Akosombo project started with a capacity of 588 megawatts. It has undergone additions and retrofit and currently has an installed capacity of 1,020 megawatts. The Kpone, Akuse, 160 megawatts, in all making 1,180 megawatts. However, after the first energy crisis in 1983-84, VRA did not want to put all its eggs in one basket, therefore diversified into thermal as well as renewable energy as the way forward.
We were vulnerable to the climate, the vagaries of the climate, because we had only a hydro generating system. So whenever we didn't have any water, we didn't have an alternative. So very quickly we started planning on how to get additional generation by thermal complementation, so that when the rains don't come, at least we have the capability of at least buying fuel in the form of gas or light crude oil or diesel. So that's when the planning for additional thermal complementation started.
VRA developed the first thermal plant at Abuadze near Takrade in 1999 and later expanded and built additional thermal plants in Tema, TTPC, Tema Thermal Plant Complex. Currently, the VRA is working toward achieving government plans of increasing generation capacity in the country to 5,000 megawatts by building the Kpone Thermal Power Station, KTPS, designed to ensure electricity availability and accessibility in the short to long term.
Ghana is a lower middle income country, and a lower middle income country should have reliable electricity. Why thermal? You want something that you cannot depend on nature. The hydro is more, if it doesn't rain, you're in trouble. We want to move away from that. We want to then use the thermal to complement our hydro And I believe that's why government in its own wisdom has also come up with all the initiative to bring on this emerging generation. Every time we should be able to have enough for ourselves and enough to also export to the neighboring countries who are even in worse conditions than we find ourselves.
Situated in Kpone, near Tema, the KTPS is one of VRA's thermal flagship projects, designed to generate about 220 megawatts of electricity into the national grid. And like any other projects, it started with feasibility studies and community engagements.
There was a community forum at the site. We all went and listened to what VRA are trying to do, and then as the picture was painted clearly for us, we realized, yes, we have to give our blessing to this work so that at the end of it, this community and Ghana as large can benefit from this power plants that they are putting up.
The feasibility study looks into all aspects of how the project would materialize. And what it's supposed to do is to indicate whether the project you are thinking of is fiscally possible, that is, whether it's technically feasible, whether it's going to be economic, that is economic viability, whether it will be socially acceptable, and also, of course, whether it will be environmentally sustainable. So in the same manner, the KTPP went through all the stages. There was a concept, there was a need for it, which had to be, established. There was a deficiency in power supply. A pre-feasibility study was done, a feasibility study was then done, and then the investment sought to be able to, implement the project.
With safety issues being one of VRA's top priorities, the impact of the plant on the environment and the immediate community was taken into consideration and addressed.
This project had an environmental permit issued by the Environmental Protection Agency, as well as the Ghana Energy Commission permit. So we have all those permits in place before we started the project. We have put in some mitigation measures to reduce the impact of our operations. You can see the perimeter fence wall, first of all, has been constructed, and just between the space between the perimeter wall coming down towards the plant area, we have declared a buffer zone for afforestation. We'll be planting trees there to reduce visual impact and also serve as a carbon sink, to separate the plant from the community.
In terms of noise, the plant has been designed to make sure that any noise that is coming from the plant is properly contained within the GT island itself. And by our calculations, we will meet the EPA requirements for noise. In fact, we more than meet it at the fence wall. So there's not going to be any noise pollution in the environment.
So we have taken adequate measures to mitigate all necessary impacts that our operations could pose to the community. And this equipment is a GT N11 EV, meaning environmentally friendly. It's going to run on only gas, which is environmentally friendly, and the backup fuel will be diesel fuel oil, which is also a cleaner fuel. So our emissions are far below acceptable standards set by the Environmental Protection Agency.
Initially, the project was a contract between the Ministry of Energy and Zakem, a global engineering and construction firm. VRA was to supervise the project on behalf of the Ministry of Energy.
The project started and got suspended in 2009 purely due to unavailability of funds. So VRA, who was at that time acting as the employer's representative, in other words, the engineers to supervise the project, opted for government to give the assets of the project, release the assets of the project to VRA, so that VRA can then look for funding and complete the project.
Eventually, it was handed over to VRA. But this transfer came along with its own challenges.
In 2012, we had this accident on the West African gas pipeline, which denied us from the use of gas from Nigeria for some time. That coupled with the lack of water, adequate water in the ensuing years, I think 3 years in a row, we had low inflows into the Akosombo Dam. That has actually crippled VRA's cash flow.
The project that was initially meant for 18 months from 2007 and is still dragging on. It was basically financial challenges. Payment of invoices raised by the contractor wasn't paid on time, to the extent that the project has to be suspended in 2009.
And so we found ourselves not in a position to honor the financial obligations towards the contractor.
However, this did not dampen the enthusiasm of the authority, but instead spurred them on to look for other alternatives to fund the project.
The decision was taken to solicit funding from the banks. That is, a Ghanaian bank, Fidelity Bank, was selected to lead that process. And as part of that process, they agreed to sustain the project on some bridge financing basis until the main loan facility come into being.
Though the original completion timelines were missed.
And so the original contract period of 24 months, which was supposed to have ended the project in September 2014, currently we've extended it to June 2016, where we expect a substantial completion of the project.
The project commenced again in 2012. With over 5 decades of power generation, VRA tapped into its experienced workforce to get the project on stream by first quarter of 2016, hence working endlessly to meet the new completion deadline.
When VRA took over, we maintained the same team because we analyzed and we realized that it was going to be more expensive trying to change the team.
And then we've assembled a lot of top guys from our thermal facilities. So for this plant, we've had a time to then pick people from all the plants, the experienced one. And then the new ones we've also picked are people that we've also trained over the period of time. So that as we speak now, we have the men on the ground.
Some of the world's leading engineering firms were selected for this project.
Alstom, Switzerland, they supplied the 2 gas turbines. And then Zakem is the main contractor for the installation of the 2 gas turbines, as well as the engineering, procurement, and construction of the balance of plant. By balance of plant, I mean all the equipment or the accessories or the auxiliaries that will support the gas turbine in producing the main objective of the megawatt that we want to see.
Other local firms were also contracted to oversee various aspects of the plant's construction.
Hydrocom is a local contractor who was awarded the contract of bringing raw water supply to site. So this covers a distance of about 3 kilometers from Michel Camp end all the way to the site. And this is the contract they executed on schedule. And we have water sitting in the reservoir of 9,000 cubic meters for plant consumption. Gridco, their main job is to take care of the power evacuation facilities. So the evacuation facility belongs to Gridco, and that is their expertise. So that's why they came to site and make sure that the power evacuation facilities are installed according to specs.
Many factors were considered in the selection process. Contractors had to meet some special requirements to be on this project.
This project was formulated as a result or in response to emergency. So the equipment was identified and was procured under certificate of emergency. And the EPC contractor was also selected under similar conditions of fast track process.
This was to enable seamless workflow and also achieve the optimum best. The KTPS is a matured and robust technology.
The design of the project was made for a sustainability of 25 years. The project should have a lifespan of 25 years. Since we assigned Fickner Fickner Germany on this project to do the design, so they tried as much as possible or practical to prepare a design that is with the technology that is currently used in worldwide. It's not like something that is 10 years old or 15 years old. They tried since 2012 when they resumed the work. We resumed the work on the project. They straight away designed and prepared a design that is up to date.
Designed with the highest and pro-modern technology, a unit consists of an air inlet containing filters, combustion chamber, turbine coupled to a shaft, generator, and exhaust stack for simple cycle mode production. Made up of 2 units with an installed capacity of 110 megawatts each, the Kpone thermal powered station runs on 2 types of fuel, gas and diesel. The VRA plans to convert it from a single cycle to a combined cycle plant to increase efficiency and reduce cost of electricity supply.
This plant is a simple cycle. We want to convert it eventually into a combined cycle. Combined cycle is when you can trap the heat, the steam that is generated from the plant and convert it into energy, into power, without burning extra fuel. It's good, but of course, the initial investment is about $250 million.
First of all, the first stage of this phase 1 is to add a steam turbine to take advantage of the exhaust gas from the open cycle operations and turn it into steam and then generate electricity. That will add about 50% of the installed capacity, bringing it to about 330 megawatts.
And it's made in a way that the project can be extended, so additional, once they want to add the steam turbine, there is a room for it. Everything has been taken place, not that you have to reinvent the wheel when you are starting an extension for this project. The infrastructure is made in a way that it can absorb accept the extension of this project. Even if you want to upgrade the systems, most of them are electronic system-based systems, so if there is a new software that is more advanced than the previous software installed in the system, is a matter of just, it allows for that, the system allows for that.
Aside generating 220 megawatts into the national grid, the KTPS has been of significant benefit to the Kpone community.
The power supply will be one major thing that the whole community will benefit. We had about 3 boys from this community working as laborers there as far as the project is concerned. And we were told they will build some clinics and schools if lands are available. So we're also looking forward for those projects to be completed, and then when it takes off fully, then we know that as time goes on, the rest of the amenities will also follow up.
The VRA made sure all individual lands were compensated for.
The demolished houses were all compensated. The owners have taken their money in peace. They've also gone to look for elsewhere to put up houses. So as far as I'm concerned, there's no problem.
a project of this magnitude is not immune to challenges.
Apart from funding, the next major challenge we faced was during the erection and the commissioning of the equipment, we ran into a situation where most of the electronic devices on the plant, due to long storage of this equipment when the project was suspended, became faulty.
This equipment was procured as far back as 2007-2008 and were installed at various locations within VRA. And because they were having a lot of electromechanical components, the long storage, even though we took measures to ensure that they were installed according to the OEM's recommendation, during the installation, we realized that some of the electronic components were defective and the replacement was a challenge. But we went around it and made sure we bought all those defective components and then replaced those ones. It's a normal thing that happens on a project like this, but we went through all the challenges and got them replaced as much as possible.
Apart from the financial and technical, other challenges like the unavailability of specialized agencies to carry out specialized functions on this project was faced.
To test transformers, we don't have an organization that is qualified, certified to carry on these tests with calibration equipment. So like we have to bring them from South Africa, for example, to carry these tests. So those ones sometimes slow down the process. All the suppliers of the equipment, none of them has bases in Ghana and engineers in Ghana. So whenever we need to bring them for commissioning, we always have to wait for their availability from out offshore to come and then do the commissioning works or do any repair works on the system. This type of challenges we mainly experienced.
But with VRA's commitment to fulfill its mandate and with government's tremendous support, these challenges were well managed and major milestones were achieved.
The GT equipment, they are very heavy and they were supposed to be brought in. So the bringing in was also a major event. We have to mobilize the appropriate equipment, to be able to safely transport it from where it was at our procurement yard to the site here. It was accompanied by, the police escort, and the press were also here. The insurance people were here to make sure that everything went smoothly.
The movement was done that day, taking into account so many factors. One, the traffic situation. We don't have our own access route to the site. We are going to use the public access route to the site. So it was scheduled to ensure that it causes the minimum impact on the traffic situation on the road. That was why it was done that early in the morning. The speed of the transporting vehicle was very low. So it took us about almost 1 hour to cover a distance of about 6 kilometers. So looking at all these complications, it was best for us to do it in the morning when the traffic situation will not be that much.
Thereafter, the Gas Turbines Foundation is a very massive foundation, and the day we were casting the first major pour, which was about 300 meter cube of concrete, it started in the night and then ended in the morning, and all of us were at work.
Currently, the plant is operational.
I'm happy to say that we have been able to overcome the challenge, and now we are in a position to run this equipment or this gas turbines safely.
And to ensure it runs effectively, VRA has put together an operations team to complete the commissioning.
Our team is capable. We have very qualified technicians, engineers. That forms the best practice implementation team. KTPS is supposed to be a flagship thermal plant for VRA. And then we have engaged the consultant ESBI, which is Electricity Supply Board of Ireland, to help us couch a new safety rule. And this safety rule, it means every staff on this station will require training to really understand the new concept in the safety rule. A safety rule has to do with system-derived hazards. That is the electrical and mechanical systems. And most of the operators have gone through this training, as well as the maintenance team has gone through this training. So what we have now, we have qualified operators who we refer to as the senior authorized persons as well as authorized persons. And for the maintenance team, we have what we call the competency skills, and they are defined as competent persons. And all this crew have gone through the required training to get themselves ready in operations and maintenance of the facility. So I think my team is capable to run this plant for the next 25, 20 years, which is the life expectancy of the station.
We have also, as part of our strategy to ensure smooth transition from project into operations stage, we are in the process of signing an agreement with Alstom Switzerland to give us some operation support after we have finished the hot commissioning, so that we can have a smooth takeoff. Thereafter, I know that there are plans to sign long-term service agreement with the equipment manufacturer to ensure that parts are made available for the major maintenances that will have to be done on the project as time goes on.
With the authority's total installed power generation capacity of 2,431 megawatts, with 49% coming from hydro generation and 51% from thermal generation, VRA has a strong commitment in expanding existing thermal plants to increase the thermal generation base.
We've already done the feasibility for the expansion. Yeah, the steam add-on to make this plant more efficient. We're also starting the phase 2. The phase 2 is just to double whatever we have here. So if this, with the steam add-on, is about 300 to 330 megawatts, we're looking at 450 or 500 megawatts as the phase 2.
While ensuring a system of diversity and security in power generation, the authority has major plans for renewable energy development as well.
We've done 2.5 megawatts solar in Navrongo. We are close to doing another 20 megawatts in Kalio and Jirapa with funding from KFW. We've also almost finished with some studies to do 150 megawatts of wind. So we are trying to add on all these renewable to our portfolio. The good thing about renewable is that we're moving with it, but you need base load to help you then add on this renewable effectively and at the right price.
As the leading power producer, VRA is committed to its mission of generating power to meet the energy needs of the country.
Less than a year since we had the funding, we are currently, as I speak today, in the final stages of this project. Then the Unit 12 is also ready to start running as soon as we finish Unit 11. So we're giving ourselves from now, for the next 2 months, the 2 units will become operational and will be placed at the disposal of the people of Ghana for power generation.
In order to fulfill this mandate, VRA will continue to be the bulwark of power production and in the forefront of other power generation sources. Gone are the days of a sole hydro generation capacity.
We passed the era of cheap hydro generation or cheap hydropower. Any addition now is thermal.
Now VRA has a multiplicity of generation sources to tap into the burgeoning oil and gas industries.
This plant you see here is about $220 million. It's a very nice plant, very modern as you can see, less noisy and very efficient.
And also to meet a very demanding and developing Ghanaian economy.
So these are things that we've done to make sure that just as anybody can go to Akosomo today and can say, wow, this is a plant which is being run by Ghanaians. People should come here tomorrow and tell us the same thing about how we operate in our thermal generation.